never thought the headlight on the Tenere 700 was all that good, but I don't do a lot of riding at night, so I was mostly happy to leave it alone. But last winter, after the time switch, the dark rides home from work pushed me over the edge. The high beam only illuminates the very center of your field of view, so once you go through any corners, you're in the dark. The Cyclops solution, which is plug and play, and I'm sure very good, is over $400, and if you want the dimmer, it's over $500. I put it in my shopping cart a few times, but couldn't bring myself to pull the trigger. So I decided to figure out my own solution. A good friend who does car stage rally, and also the one who loaned me the NX250, recommended Diode Dynamics as a reasonably priced option that still has good optics. I ended up getting the 6-inch Stage Series Lightbar with the driving beam, and now I have to figure out how to mount it. They also had a fog pattern and offer the Lightbar in white and amber. When I first got the Tenere, I found a 3D model on the internet that seemed to be quite accurate. I used it to design and print my GPS mount, and it worked well to figure out mounting the Lightbar to the lower triple clamp. My first idea was to use the threaded holes on the bottom of the triple clamp, but I ended up using the pinch bolts to get a much stiffer and more efficient mounting solution. I 3D printed a prototype to make sure it cleared throughout the steering range, and then ordered it from Send Cut Send, not a sponsor, to be laser cut, bent, and anodized. 2 weeks later, a box with parts arrived at my doorstep. The tabs on both sides provide a flat surface so the bends are in the right position. Now it was time to figure out the wiring. The Tenere 700 high beam trigger is a bit different than anything I've dealt with before. The trigger wire is 12 volts when the high beam is off, and it's pulled low to ground when the high beam is on. The trigger wire goes to the ECU, which controls the headlight cluster. This means you have to be extra careful with this signal, and some have fried the headlight circuit on their ECU. MVDBR documented the high beam trigger pretty well and included a flyback diode in his circuit. I found a Bosch relay with the flyback diode built in. This prevents the high voltage spikes that can happen when the relay is de-energized. The Bosch relay specifies that pin 85 goes to ground, so I wired that to the yellow trigger wire. I get power and ground from the 3-pin accessory plug under the right side cover, and I tapped into the yellow headlight trigger wire with a Positap connector. I'm really happy with the way this turned out. There is clearance lock to lock, and there is enough room between the light bar and the fender. I ordered some bolts that were slightly longer to make up for the thickness of the brackets. Now we just need to see how it works. Never mind the Tenere's cold clutch judder. The light bar throws a widened beam pattern farther down the road than the stock high beam, and the difference is more dramatic than it appears on camera. It is still lacking a little spread for sharper corners, but I am very happy with the improvement.
That's only a small difference. Holy shit, it's like daylight.
The extra light gives way more confidence on these windy little gravel roads at night. You can see that I am already further down the road than with the stock headlight. The intensity is significantly higher, and there is much more light above the cutoff of the low beam. It no longer feels like you are going through a tunnel of darkness.
Makes night riding fun again. I mean, except for the four-legged wood creatures. I mean, I suppose this helps that a little bit, but geez, there have been a lot of deer. For $100 for the light bar and I guess a bit, I don't know, $50 more for brackets and wiring and 3 different relays before I found the one with the diode. Pretty hard to beat. I learned about flyback diodes and how when you turn off the relay, it sends a voltage spike from the magnetic field collapsing, which are words that I don't entirely fully understand, but with the Tenere's light circuit being controlled entirely by the ECU, if you get a high voltage spike, that goes directly to ECU, and I've heard of people killing the light circuit on there. And I don't terribly want to replace the ECU.
So I mentioned that I had Send Cut Send make the brackets for this light bar, and when I opened the package I was surprised to find there were 2 sets of brackets. I've heard this is not that uncommon for them to make an extra piece or 2, but I feel like I should pass them along, so I will send the extra set of brackets to the first person to ask nicely for them on Instagram, at ADVPiggy. Thanks for coming along, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions in the comments.
I can't even read the speed limit.